G'day, Warbles on a lot here with Origami Aerophysics Part 3, the evolution of the Papua New Guinea Highland Delta Dart from the standard version, which was taught to me in 1973. This is the way it holds itself in the sky when it's gliding, and because it's a variable geometry aircraft at high speed, during launch phase, the wings close the fuselage and it becomes an extremely low drag trefoil capable of translating speed into height, particularly if you launch it straight up or up at a high angle. And once it gets up there, it slows down, it opens its wings, and it either does a half loop or a half roll, and then it commences gliding at maybe 6:1 glide ratio. And I thought that was pretty clever, but I wondered what would happen if I gave it more wing and less fuselage depth. So here we can see what I've done to it, and that seems to work pretty well. You get maybe 7 to 7.5 to 1 glide ratio. It flies a little bit slower. If you've got no wind, that's the good one to teach the kids, the modified version. If you decide you really want to go and play obsessive compulsive paper aeroplanes, you go for the extreme modified version. And the extreme modified version not only has an incredibly shallow fuselage, it also runs to a curved leading edge profile together with a reflex trailing edge. So this thing flies really slow, and it's fairly hard to get them to fly straight because the tiniest variation in wings means one wing will lift more. If it lifts more, it's going to drag more. If it drags more, it's going to turn to the left or the right. So here we have the evolution of the New Guinea Highland Delta Dart. And the reason I say it's the world's best paper aeroplane is because it's the only monocoque variable geometry paper aeroplane on the planet which is capable of being modified for utility, sports or high performance sailplane use. And this version has been seen to actually fly 3 circles inside the thermal of the hot air coming out of a farmhouse open fireplace chimney when launched from a 30-foot wind turbine tower. And it was launched at 30 feet. It was 15 feet off the ground and 5 feet above the chimney when it got into the hot air, and it was 15 feet above the tower when it fell out of the thermal after 3 turns. The only paper aeroplane that I know of capable of thermaling. The extremely modified Papuan Highland Delta Dart. And because even the most ardent mobile phone camera artist, no matter how high-tech the equipment, seems to make a significant number of mistakes while filming a triptych. Therefore, thus and because, I've now acquired a veritable flock or a squadron of paper planes, and I think Robert and Siona, the children of a friend of mine called Gumboot, are going to have a little bit of fun in the backyard next time I go to town. I can give away a squadron of experimental movie star paper aeroplanes. Yahoo yippee! So, let's try launching the 3 of them in a stack with the slowest on top, with the highest wing area. And because of the wind direction, I'm really sorry fellas, but we're going to have to launch this away. There we go. Let's go now and pace out the distances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we have here at 5 metres is the stock standard, worst glide ratio. 1/2 metre in front of it maybe a third of a metre in front of it, we have the high performance one. It's got a better glide ratio, but it's slower. And 2 metres in front of that, we have the initial Wharton modified medium Papua New Guinea Highland dart. As you saw, that was a test glide, and you know what? I'm a little bit drunk. I've shot these 3 films about 12 times this afternoon. I'm not going to try a high-speed launch with a stack because I wouldn't get them in the camera frame, and I'd wreck what's otherwise a perfectly functional movie. Now, the solstice gift-giving season is coming up, and I really think if you know any children and you want to interact with them in a positive way that won't cause too much damage to the environment when you consider the amount of A4 paper that exists in the world and the number of kids who would dearly love to have a grown-up pay attention to them in a positive, interactive way, why don't you make some paper planes and go flying them with the kids? Hey? Origami Aerophysics. It's really not a bad idea. Ciao.